So here lately, I was reading an article in Sports Illustrated, and Clippers young star Terrence Mann speaks about the injury struggles that the Clippers have had and how it basically derailed them from winning a championship or getting the opportunity to win a championship. And he speaks on it highly by saying that, the Clippers were figuring it out before the All-Star break, or within the time before the All-Star break. And within that time, they got Russell Westbrook, and things changed because his role changed. He went from the starting lineup. Terrence Mann went from the starting lineup to the off the bench, where, that's where he started off the bench. But I thought he graduated enough to be in the starting lineup. I thought the way he played with Kawhi and PG was really at a high level, the moments that he was in there as a starter. And I really thought, bringing in Russell Westbrook was really more of a bad decision for the Clippers. I've stated that before because I just don't think Russell Westbrook is championship material. He's one of the top players in the league at one point in time, when he's healthy and when he was playing at his best. But now that he might have kind of got a little bit older, lost a little bit of a step, a lot of his explosiveness is still there, but it's not there as consistent or constant as it used to be. So him dominating the way he once did in games is likely to happen at times, but it's highly unlikely to happen consistently. And that's something that the Clippers won't be able to exercise with Russell Westbrook, simply because they already have their superstars in place. And Russ is supposed to just be an addition to the team. But even still, they put him in the starting lineup. They went in as far as making him like the major main point guard for the Clippers. And I thought that's the recipe for, no success, because as we've seen Russell Westbrook with other superstars, paired with other superstars, him being the decision maker just doesn't help your chances of winning a championship, and never did. So my thing is with the Clippers, the decision they made to take Terrence Mann from the starting lineup was a huge deal to me. But specifically, either way, no matter how you look at it, it is what it is. But Terrence Mann speaks on the situation in regards to the injuries. It was an injury-riddled season for them. Paul George went down, and that hurt them a lot. But they still had Kawhi, and Kawhi was balling. He was hooping especially at the end of the season. I think he won Western Conference Player of the Week right before the season went out. And the last month of the season, he might have been the best player in the NBA. Honestly, the way he looked to me, because he was dropping 28, 30 points, every single night. And the problem is, what a lot of people don't realize, for a lot of people out there saying that Kawhi should retire and all these other type things, he would have been just fine probably if the Clippers wouldn't have had to dog him out just to make the playoffs. Because you remember the last month of the season, the Clippers were fighting every single game. Kawhi was playing 38, 40 plus minutes a lot of those games, wear and tear on that knee, where he just came off ACL surgery, trying to get acclimated, and he had got his rhythm, and he started to look like the player that we always known him to be. But the Clippers needed to get him to play all these extra minutes just to make the playoffs, because if you remember the last game of the season, it came all the way down to that. If they would have lost that game against the Pelicans, I think, or whoever they played, the Phoenix Suns actually, they would have fell into the 7th seed, which would have been the play-in tournament, rather than the 5th seed, which they beat Phoenix to play them, as the 5th seed, because, Phoenix played them in the first round. Otherwise, if they would have lost that game, they would have went all the way to the play-in tournament. So I feel like they overused Kawhi Leonard in a lot of ways, simply because they were, down and out, or they felt like they were down and out. Whereas you look at somebody like Jamal Murray, where he tore his ACL with the Denver Nuggets, they basically gave him the time he needed to recover. They let him come in games. He would play good. Some nights he wouldn't play as much. They would limit his minutes a little bit, but even still, they held it down until Jamal Murray got back to the point where he is, and they didn't really rush him into anything, which is the reason why he's playing very good right now when they really need him in the finals, and they might actually be on the way of winning a championship. Because when you do things the right way as an organization and treat your players the right way, through treatment and physicality and all those things, their body responds better, the player responds better, and everything just works out. I just feel like, maybe the Clippers might have pushed Kawhi Leonard a little too much just so they could make the playoffs, so they wouldn't be a team on the outside looking in. The only problem is that got Kawhi hurt in the playoffs, which goes back to what Terrence Mann was saying. The Clippers, we had a chance. We looked good. When Paul George went down, that was bad. But they were starting to figure things out with Kawhi Leonard, even when Paul George went down. And they said, and Terrence Mann said that they felt good about that series going in against Phoenix because they had Kawhi and Kawhi was hooping. They felt good about their chances. Everybody was kind of sort of gelling, trying to figure things out, and things were getting figured out the way Terrence Mann explains it. But then Kawhi goes down, and that just basically took the air out the room. And basically, that's exactly what happened, and no other way to really, put that. It just is what it is, and that just, a demoralizing situation for the Clippers because they weren't able to recover. And then we all know the rest what happened. They lost every game after game one. And Kawhi did play game two with a torn meniscus, and he tried to play through it. He actually played through that game, ended up scoring 31 points that game. And, then all of a sudden the news comes out where he's not there to be available going forward. And that was just the end of the Clippers. But, Terrence Mann is right, though. They definitely looked like they were doing on the way to doing good things, because when they won that game one against Phoenix, I thought myself, I was like, yeah, Kawhi Leonard got Phoenix and Kevin Durant right where he wants them, because Kawhi, one thing about him, unlike any other superstar, he plays both ends of the floor on a different level than everybody else. And, you got a lot of two-way players in the league, but they're not like Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi is just a one-of-a-kind type dude. Like, he can really change the outcome of a game on both ends of the floor, which is the reason why a lot of people believe arguably he's the best player in the game when he's healthy. You know what I'm saying? Because all the other players just can't do what he does. And, Giannis can play both sides of the floor, but Giannis doesn't have what Kawhi has. Giannis doesn't have a jump shot, which is the reason why he's losing to people like Jimmy Butler in 5 games, don't even go 7 games in a series and really make it competitive, because his jump shot is not there, whereas Kawhi does. That's what makes him a better two-way player than somebody like a Giannis, because Giannis' weakness is so loud, it's so noticeable. In the playoffs, it really hurts his chances of winning, which is the reason why I said Giannis won that championship a couple years ago, because everybody was hurt. Kawhi, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, name them. Everybody was hurt that year too. So, it was pretty much a walkthrough to the finals. And playing Chris Paul in the finals is a W, because I just don't think Chris Paul's worth a damn, my personal opinion. But either way, Terrence Mann said they definitely had a chance when, of course, their guys were healthy, and they definitely thought they had a great chance with Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi was really hitting his stride, getting his rhythm. And like I said, especially at the end of the season, Kawhi was really, really hooping. He looked like the best player in the league to a lot of people. Even Charles Barkley had mentioned that, on TNT that night, because Kawhi he was really playing good. But as I said before, I feel like the Clippers kind of wore him down at the last month of the season, because especially when Paul George went down, it was more onus on Kawhi. He had to play more minutes. He had to put more pressure on that knee, and he tried everything he could to do everything he could to keep the team afloat. But his knee just started swelling up from what we heard, and it was a torn meniscus because he tried to do everything he could and overwork himself. And that's the reason why you're hearing things or heard things about Kawhi's camp didn't like how he was overused or used too much or pushed back too soon to help this team when they got all this depth, and they should have been at least keeping it a decent record until he gets back to his, physical form, how he likes to be, a la the same way the Nuggets did Jamal Murray. So this is why I said the Clippers got to do better in ways to make their players feel better, but also they got to find ways to keep everybody healthy. I know it's hard. I know it's tough, but at the same time, got to find a way. And Kawhi and PG, they got to find a way to stay healthy if they really want to try to win this championship or run it back again if nothing changes in the offseason in regards to trades. So, but either way, leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. And like always, we'll talk about it.